Most people know America through songs like A Horse with No Name, Ventura Highway, Tin Man, and Sister Golden Hair. But what happens when an America album doesn't give radio another song that big? Apparently, we forget the entire album. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dave's Side 1. I'm Dave, your host, who believes an album should not disappear simply because radio couldn't find one enormous single. Over here at Art of Listening Records, where every record has a story, and every story starts on side 1. Today we're talking about one of America's most overlooked albums, Harbor. It was produced by George Martin. It featured the original 3-man lineup, and it may contain one of the best opening songs America ever recorded. Now, America had trained listeners to expect a recognizable song from almost every album. The debut had A Horse with No Name and I Need You. Homecoming had Ventura Highway. Holiday had Tin Man and Lonely People. Hearts had Sister Golden Hair. Hideaway had Today's the Day. Then came Harbor. No song from the album became part of that permanent classic rock rotation. And when that happens, an album can quietly disappear. Not because nobody made good music, because nobody gave the audience one easy song through which to remember the record. Now let's explore this a little further with a walk down Dave's memory lane. We did cover this record a little bit recently talking about cutouts, but this record really holds a strong position in my catalog, and since I have the microphone, my copy of Harbor is connected to one of those record-buying places that probably would not exist today. I found it at a kiosk outside a shopping center. It was the kind of place where you could discover an album almost by accident, and I believe this may have been one of the discounted or cutout records I brought home from there. I don't remember how much I paid for it. It wasn't very much, maybe $1 or $2. I think I bought 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 albums along with it that same day at that kiosk. I already knew America, but buying an album like this was different from buying a greatest hits collection. You are no longer buying only the songs radio had approved, you are buying the rest of the story. Harbor begins with God of the Sun. And if someone believes America was only capable of gentle acoustic radio songs, this is the track I would play first. It opens slowly. It creates atmosphere. It feels mysterious. And instead of rushing toward a compact hook, it allows the arrangement to develop. This is Gerry Beckley writing it on a broader canvas. The harmonies still sound like America, but the scale feels larger. The song sounds less like a single designed to introduce an album, and more like an opening scene. One of the strengths of the original America lineup was that the group did not depend on one songwriter. Gerry Beckley had one emotional and melodic voice, Dewey Bunnell brought another, and Dan Peek brought a third. On Harbor, those identities remain clearly visible. Beckley gives us God of the Sun, Now She's Gone, Sarah, Sergeant Darkness, and Monster. Dan Peek contributes Slow Down, Don't Cry Baby, These Brown Eyes, and Hurricane. Dewey Bunnell brings Political Poachers, Are You There, and Down to the Water. That makes Harbor feel less like one continuous mood and more like 3 writers meeting in the same coastal landscape. The original vinyl credits assign the album songs across Beckley, Peek, and Bunnell in this pattern. Slow Down gives Dan Peek room to bring a more direct rock and pop energy. Don't Cry Baby is melodic and immediate, but it never became one of the songs that defines America publicly. Now She's Gone turns inward. Beckley had a gift for making sadness sound polished without making it emotionally empty. Then Dewey Bunnell gives us Political Poachers. The title alone tells you this is not simply another collection of romantic soft rock songs. And Sarah closes the first half with another concise Beckley melody. Side 1 moves through atmosphere, pop, melancholy, commentary, and intimacy in roughly 16 minutes. That is not an album running out of ideas. Side 2 may even be more interesting because it becomes harder to summarize. Sergeant Darkness opens the side with one of the album's most intriguing titles. It sounds like a character study pulled from a larger story. Are You There returns Dewey Bunnell to the reflective questions that have always made his writing distinctive. These Brown Eyes gives Dan Peek another melodic moment. Then Beckley gives us Monster. Again, that's not a title most casual listeners would associate with America. Hurricane adds movement and urgency, and Down to the Water closes the record exactly where the album title suggests it should. Not with one enormous finale, with a return to place, to landscape, to the water. Harbor was also part of America's George Martin period. Martin had begun producing the group with Holiday and helped give the records a more polished and carefully arranged sound. On Harbor, that polish remains. The voices are clear, the instruments have space, and even when the songs move in different directions, the production keeps the record from feeling completely disconnected. This is not George Martin trying to turn America into the Beatles. It's George Martin understanding how to make America sound more fully like America. Harbor also matters because it closes a chapter. This was the final America studio album featuring the original trio. Dan Peek left after the album, but America continued. The songs continued, the tours continued. But this particular balance of 3 singers and 3 writers ended here. That makes Harbor more than an overlooked album. It makes it the final studio document of America's original design. Now let's be honest about what Harbor does not have. It does not have another Ventura Highway. It does not have another Sister Golden Hair. It does not have one song that forces the entire world to remember the album. But that's a commercial observation. It's not a complete musical judgment. A record can lack a defining hit and still contain strong songwriting. It can lack a radio standard and still reward the listener. And it can disappear from the public conversation while remaining worth hearing. Harbor may not be the first America album I would hand to a new listener, but it might be one of the first I would hand to someone who thinks they already understand the band. Start with God of the Sun and then listen to the whole record. And listen to the sound of one version of America reaching the end of its journey. So on tonight's Side One Spin, go and find a copy of Harbor by America and listen to it front to back. Tell me what your favorite song is on that record. Is it God of the Sun, Like Me? Or is it Slow Down or Political Poachers? And do you think Harbor is America's most overlooked album? Come back and tell me all about it in the comments. Well, that's it for today's Side One. Thanks for spending a little time with me once again. Please keep that needle in the groove, and we will talk to you tomorrow about yet another underrated album by a huge band. Mirrors from Blue Oyster Cult. Talk to you tomorrow.